All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle in their two locations, Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're also open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get the brisket. Oh, the brisket chili is amazing as well. All right, let's talk about the 49ers rookie tight end Cameron Latu. And in my opinion, Latu, after reading this article that was done in The Athletic by Matt Barrows, I think there's a real chance that Cameron Latu could be a very interesting pick by the 49ers and may take off in a 49er uniform. So, a great piece by Barrows. Barrows, one of the best writers who covers the 49ers, does a great job covering them for The Athletic. And, the 49ers acknowledge that Latu, who was their third round pick, is not as refined as other tight ends who were entering the league. But it's also that late start is why they're so excited about Cameron Latu and his future. They believe he's only just absolutely starting out in what's going to be a very, very good career. He hasn't played a lot of football at tight end. Came to Alabama as a defensive end, was hesitant to make the switch, and he's only played tight end for a couple of years. So they think they've got a player who really is on the rise. There's a great quote in this article from the Niners tight end coach, Brian Fleury, who I had a chance to talk to a few weeks ago about Latu. He said, even when Cameron had bad technique as a blocker, he was able to control people at the line of scrimmage, which just shows there's innate strength in there. And that, combined with a very fluid set of movement skills, kind of lets you know that once he does get to this level and is able to combine the movement skills with the technique that we're going to ask him to execute, then he's going to be an extremely difficult player to contend with. What the Niners love about Cameron Latu is the raw power. The guy has good size. He's 6'4", about 250 pounds. He has 79 and 1/8 inch arms as far as wingspan. That put him in the top end of this year's tight end class. So he's got really long arms, great length. And the way the 49ers, the way the 49ers use the tight end, they're using the tight end to block defensive ends. And you need that type of lower body strength to move people and to be able to sustain some of those blocks against NFL defensive ends. And that's what you see with Cameron Latu. He's got great lower body power. He's got really long arms and a lot of natural power. So that's, and this is the thing, one of the things that the big question, anytime you move a defensive player to the offensive side of the ball, the question is, can he catch? It's funny. You'll be watching training camp or preseason or something, and there'll be a play and there'll be a ball that's floated in the middle of the field, and the defender will come over and knock the ball down, but he doesn't catch it. And immediately you'll hear people say, well, that's why he's playing defense, because he can't catch. And that's always the initial concern, is when you're moving a defensive guy to the other side of the ball, can he catch the football? Yeah, you can make him a tight end and he's a great athlete at defensive end and you can switch him to the other side of the ball, but can he catch? That was the question with Latu, and he quickly put that to rest. Now, Cameron Latu is an interesting athlete. He played an array of sports as a kid. He played basketball, and you can see the fluidity in his movements when he's getting off the line of scrimmage. He's got basketball type fluidity, but he also played rugby, and his hand-eye coordination is really, really good. But for the 49ers, what they really love about him is they don't think he's anywhere close to his ceiling as a player. They think there's a lot more talent there. And so they drafted a raw player, and they drafted a player that has a lot of physical ability. But they're drafting a player that they think can get a whole lot better with coaching. And this is really, it's really putting a lot on Brian Fleury, the tight end coach, to get it out of him. What he really is a very moldable ball of clay. And now it's up to Fleury to make it all happen. The Niners drafted 2 tight ends, Braden Willis and Cameron Latu, and they're giving Fleury 2 young prospects that they really like. Um, the kid from Oklahoma got the gold helmet designation because he's such a tenacious blocker and he just refuses to go down. Willis is really intriguing in his own right because, man, you can see the fight. He will fight and claw for every yard. He's not going to go down easily. But with Latu, we've already seen glimpses of big playability. This guy's made some plays down the field. He's made some very impressive catches. And Kyle Shanahan, just a few minutes after the 49ers drafted Latu at pick number 101 in the 3rd round, he said he's late to the position. And as you watch him throughout the year, we think he can get a lot better in the run game and the pass game. Usually you designate a guy as one or the other. He's a run blocker. He's a pass blocker. He's a pass game guy. But we see this guy as both. And he can accelerate in both. And, I think if the 49ers had nailed this one right, Cameron Latu may wind up being one of the steals of the draft among their draft choices because they've got a player that played in a great system, was a highly rated athlete at the high school level, truly good football player as far as character and athleticism. And, it's a little bit of a projection, right? Because, he comes to Alabama as a defensive end and nobody knew if he could play tight end, but 6'4" and almost 80-inch arms as far as a wingspan. You're talking about a guy with very, very long arms. And the Niners, though, like the fact that he's got that lower body strength to move people at the line of scrimmage and to be able to sustain blocks against defensive ends. And, the fact of the matter is he's raw, but he's got the tools. And they feel like he's nowhere close to reaching his ceiling. And the fact of the matter is, he's got good hand-eye coordination, so he can catch the football. And, he's got the toughness and determination that you develop by playing rugby, but he's also got the fluidity and the first step that you develop playing basketball. And then you mix in the hand-eye coordination, and you really got something. And you got a player who's got size and ability and athleticism. And now it's all on Brian Fleury to make sure it translates. And the fact that they got this kid in the 3rd round, the advantage of having a guy who can do it all at tight end is that when you put him out on the field, if you've got Ross Dwelly, they kind of know, hey, you know what? They're going to use Ross most likely as a receiver. If you got Charlie Warner out there, they're like, hey, you know what? They're probably going to utilize Charlie as a run blocker because that's what those guys do. They're not versatile. They have particular skill sets. Warner's a really tenacious, blocker. Though he doesn't really move people in the run game. He doesn't have that lower body power to move people on the line of scrimmage. He's more of a try-hard blocker that just refuses to stop driving those legs. But as a pass catcher, he's not much as a pass catcher. And then Dwelly gives you almost like another receiver. He's that good of a pass receiver, but he lacks power to move anybody, and he's really kind of a liability as a blocker. So if you have Dwelly in there, they kind of know it's going to be a pass. And if you got Warner in there, they kind of know it's going to be a run. And that's the beauty of Kittle, right? Kittle's a 4-5 guy who also is one of the NFL's better blocking tight ends. So when you have George Kittle in the game, they don't know if you're going to run it and he's going to block, or if if he's going to go out in the pattern and they're going to throw it to him. He's an all-around tight end. Well, Latu's got that ability as well. And then you mix in the lack of playing experience, and you're going to see a player that's going to improve at a really accelerated rate. You're going to see a player that should get better in every phase of the game. As a run blocker, as a pass receiver, he could get better really, really quickly, and that's exciting. And when you think about it, if indeed that's the case, and Cameron Latu, sure enough, gets better as a pass blocker and he gets better as a route runner and as a receiver, the 49ers may have drafted a guy who could be their future starter at tight end, and definitely a guy who could slide in really as the second tight end in a 2 tight end set this year with George Kittle. So I'm really eager to see what the rookie year looks like for Latu. Does he improve every game because he's got the ability and now he's getting the coaching? Is it a gradual thing? Does it take him a year in an NFL offense to really grasp the principles? Or, man, do you just take all the skills that he has, put him with a pro coach, put him behind George Kittle, and all of a sudden he emerges in year one as a dramatic draft steal? I think there's potential that Latu could wind up being one of the real steals for the 49ers in this last draft. All right, hope you enjoyed our video on Cameron Latu. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.